What's up, everybody? So, my kind of pensive mind has been grappling with a, a thought process that I find interesting. Um, One of the things that kind of confounds me about my own mind is I don't think about things linearly, usually. Um, I think about things spatially, geometrically. I'll come up with a thought about a certain situation or something that I'm paying attention to, and then my brain immediately like fractals out to, and this is not like an endorsement for my brain as if it's somehow uh you know to be replicated. If anything, it frustrates me, but I then tangentially try to, I don't try, but I my brain can't focus on the one thing in a vacuum, so to speak. I see how it connects to everything else. So, for example, I find myself having political discussions with friends and coworkers and stuff because for the last, 10 years plus, it's been extremely fashionable, bordering on socially necessary to be, uh, you know, not just left of the, aisle, but an advocate, an activist, politically activated member of the leftist, um, ideology and worldview. And politics, like religion, is something that has been around as long as people have gotten in groups. And I'm not purporting to solve the age-old problem on a few minutes of a YouTube video, but I think have kind of a spiral galaxy of a thought process on this particular issue, and that is, in metaphor, I think one interesting way of looking at the left and right politic being couched in the recognition that both are necessary. This is not a scathing rebuke of the left and an glazing of the right. That's not my intention. You need outside the box thinkers, compassion, first principles, uh, you know, advocates for the dispossessed, as well as you need industrious, conscientious accountants. Again, the former being kind of a left leaning person, the latter being kind of a classic right person, right? Somebody that wants to constantly change the world, and then somebody that just wants to get by day to day and not buck anything for fear of it being negative net consequence. Okay, so let's just start there, right? Both sides of the aisle are necessary for a functioning society. And it's one of the great wisdoms of our culture that it seems like the political apparatus pendulum swings back and forth, that one, uh, group of people doesn't hold on to power for too long by the nature of the democratic processes in the United States, and then that's probably a good thing, right? So I think left and right-handed is a weirdly apropos, a weirdly appropriate metaphor for the left and right politic in one way of thinking. And please understand, this is not just a left bad, right good. This is just one thought process that I had in relation to a few different circumstances that I find it to be exemplified in. Let's start with like a right-handed person, so to speak. If I am right-handed, as most people are, use my right hand and it doesn't work. Like I go to open the door and the door doesn't, open right away. Like very quickly, I'm not gonna think the door's broken. I'm gonna make sure that I'm operating the door properly. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if I'm throwing a ball and I miss my target, my first thought isn't the ball's defective or the earth isn't rotating properly. My first thought is I'm not throwing the ball properly, right? Maybe I need to, step into it, whatever. A right-handed person having mastery over the normative way that their body functions, with the right hand being dominant, would respond to not having the desired outcome of an action with a change in their action, right? If I do something and I don't get the outcome that I want, if I'm of that mind, a right-handed person, and then by extension kind of a more conservative-minded person, I might take the onus on myself to try to improve, to try to understand what's going wrong with my behavior. I would take responsibility, you might say, accountability, and then try to improve, okay? For purpose of argument, let's think of the opposite of that. A left-handed person, creative, right? Outside of the box thinking, right? Somebody who wants to break down barriers as a matter of principle, right? Newness, out with the old, in with the new. Let's be, progressing towards the future, right? A left-handed person, a left-minded person, a left politic. In a weird way that I think this metaphor holds, when a left-handed person, makes a painting, the first thought, if somebody scoffs at that painting, is often, they don't get it. You see? A left-handed person, and obviously this is a loose metaphor, and I'm just thinking out loud, so this is not meant to be incendiary or inflammatory. I'm just, thinking, as long as that's still legal. Creative people might write a, manifesto or a transcript of a play that they've written or what have you. And if it's not received well, well, screw it. The people that read it just don't get it, right? I need to change the environment. Okay. So on the one hand, there's the idea that the world is the world and it's not going to change. Or let's just say, like, the mechanisms by which it changes is superordinate to the self, or is outside of my control. So when something doesn't work in my favor, I'm going to change how I act and hopefully get better outcomes. The other ethic, the left-handed, the left-minded, the left politic, is this idea that if and when things don't work out properly, it's the problem of the working out. It's the problem of the world. It's the problem of everything but me. I think both of those things, obviously both of those things can go wrong if not tempered by the other, the wisdom of the other. If I'm always anxiously thinking that my actions aren't going to accomplish the goal, then a person might just become a nervous wreck, right? At a certain point, you got to make sure the door works, right? You gotta hold the environment to the standard that it purports to, meet. That would be the right being informed by the left. But of course, the left, if gone wild, creates a walled garden. It creates a totalitarian control of the environment itself, right? It's the idea of like nerfing the playground or Truman showing the life of a person, right? Like this idea that we have to control outcomes because otherwise something unjust might happen, right? Only through controlling the environment can we, have the world that we deserve, or something like this. That's nonsense, in that it need be informed by the wisdom of the right, and saying, well, are we bringing to bear the best of ourselves? Are we not turning into tyrants in the trying to control everything? So a lot of data points recently have gotten me thinking about this kind of, way of thinking through the different types of politically activated people. I've been watching Dave Smith. He's a libertarian. He's interesting to listen to in his political commentary. He's turned me on to Ludwig von Mises and the Austrian School of Economics, who've then informed Javier Milei, the current president of Argentina, and watching what he's done with what Argentina has gone through with hyperinflation and the socialist governments that they've had, and the way that they've destroyed the economy and brought in, the people did, a libertarian economist in Javier Milei, and to see how their country has turned around is very interesting if you're interested in that kind of thing. Rand Paul, not Rand Paul as much as Ron Paul, but the kind of libertarian strain in the United States, Thomas Massey, they're a minority in Congress, to be sure, but they're a very interesting intellectual tradition. Milton Friedman. So listening to libertarians is a great way of breaking the spell of the left or the right, if you're a person that happens to be motivated politically to play the team game, because they have some very fascinating ideas. And then one of the things that I listened to yesterday that really was crystallizing my understanding of the political climate of this country over the last 15, 20 years was listening to Mark Andreessen, who is a big deal in the Silicon Valley circles, was on the board of Meta, Facebook, and did many other things at the highest level of tech, speak to who interviewed him. I listened to 2 of his interviews, and he laid out very clearly how fanatical the left had got in the United States, having been seeded in the universities and then spiraled out to tech, because tech is very closely in bed with the universities through internships and research projects and grants, and obviously the hiring pipeline and so forth, which was very interesting to hear. In the Summer of Love, the George Floyd protests, there were several, Occupy Wall Street before that, there were several flashpoints in the United States in recent memory that activated the political left, specifically the young political left, which it always tends to be, right? And the left rightly points out the fear of the fascist right, but I think that what gets conflated with the fear of fascism is free market economics, which is the only reason that the United States has the quality of living that it does. And I'm very interested to see the degree to which the people that are possessed by ideology are either right-handed or left-handed people, metaphorically speaking, because the people that I listen to that I'm moved by are largely right-handed people. That is to say, they work very hard, they hold themselves to account, they take responsibility for their errors, and they're able to make positive contributions to society, to the businesses they're a part of, to the organizations that they're a part of, etc. Interestingly, I'm a huge Elon fanboy, and he has been shown to have lied in the stupidest of ways by the video game community, and that's an interesting story to go into if you haven't heard about it. So Diablo 4 was an ARPG that was very popular and came out quite recently, last year or so, and Musk claimed to be the #1 player by virtue of the fact that he cleared a high-level pit in the lowest amount of time, and everybody kind of just took it on the face of it that was the case. Well, Path of Exile 2 comes out, a game very similar to Diablo, but better. Smaller studio, more passionate developers, more systems in the game, just a better game, frankly. And Musk very clearly had somebody boost his account to top of the food chain, 12th or 7th, I think, on the hardcore ladder in the trade league. And then he played it on stream, and it was very clear that it wasn't his character. And he doubled down and still hasn't owned up to the fact that he didn't play that character. And it's fascinating to me because a right-handed person, if you like, wouldn't do that. like when you get caught in a lie, you take responsibility and you move on, understanding that self-correction is the way to a better functioning environment that then you get to inhabit. And I would have, up until that circumstance, said that Elon is like the quintessential, right-handed person. I know this is a tortured metaphor, but just bear with me. Well, that willingness to lie is the hallmark of a authoritarian, a totalitarian, an ideologue. And there's a reason for that. If you're willing to lie, then you have in you either just a sadism, like a dark, tetrad personality type disorder where you're Machiavellian, sadistic, self-serving, manipulative, or you have been possessed by the idea, and a lot of people get there, that your worldview is more important than the truth. That being an advocate, being an activist, being an agitator for your particular set of beliefs is more important than the observable truth. If you get to that place ideologically, intellectually, you become very dangerous because you can be activated to do terrible things, like, period. Right? So what I'm left with is understanding that Elon has done all these great things and has clearly, learned about how to make a product and then, make it better, etc. Gone through this process of self-correction, iterating, over and over. And that's demonstrably true in the products that his companies have created. But at the very same time, he's become this kind of authoritarian on X, where the gaming community pointed out that he, lied about piloting his boosted PoE2 character, and he has not owned that. So what I come to believe about all this stuff, and the reason I kind of talked about the right hand, left hand thing, is a deep spirituality and a religiosity that I find myself moved towards. And I'll tell you why. To be a libertarian, to be a centrist, to be a rational thinking individual and not an ideologue captured by group identity on the left or the right or the up or the down or by, what have you. You have to believe a certain set of things, in my opinion, and I'll lay them out to you. Number one, you have to believe that right is right and wrong is wrong. Number two, and those are not malleable constructs. Those are demonstrably, objectively, observably true things that if you do something bad, it can be shown that it's bad in the way that it affects yourself and others. And that, there are things that can be shown to be good. Okay? Growing, building versus destroying, hurting. And I don't mean hurting feelings, I mean hurting outcomes. Okay. Number two, you have to believe that the line between good and evil goes through all of our hearts. That is to say, you have to believe that good and evil are choices of behavior capable of all individuals, rather than what ideologically captured people are moved towards, which is bigotry, prejudice, the idea that people are inherently either good or evil, which is of course not the case, demonstrably. Okay? Furthermore, you have to believe that, and this is more kind of woo-woo, but I think this is probably the most important part of it, to foster a healthy worldview that allows you to not become ideologically captured and to have critical thinking skills. And that is, you have to believe that doing good results in good. You have to believe that what goes around comes around. You have to believe in some function of karma, or the karmic record, akashic record, God, the ether, the prana, the sacred breath, ha. You have to have a faith that you can't change things in your own image. You have to believe that you're not God. You have to believe that doing the right thing to the best of your ability to understand and execute that behavior is the right thing to do. Or you are fodder for the, existential battle between good and evil. You become a pawn on the chessboard of those that are wicked enough to try to play for your soul. And I think we live ever more in the West in a secular environment. We're too smart for our own good. We've mastered material sciences to the degree to which we have. Obviously, there's more to learn, but we've split the atom and we're sending rockets into orbit. And we don't have a requisite grounding awe and wonder of the natural forces of the universe, such that we fear God, if you will, such that we fear our own capacity for evil. All you got to do is flame up some young idealistic person and tell them that, the evil people are over there and you're good, and you hurting them is the move. So humiliate them, put them through a struggle session, hurt them, as much as you think you should, because they're the bad guys. That's the mentality of every great atrocity throughout human history. And if you don't think that happens, you need to study history. Basically, the sad fact, and it is a deeply sad fact, is that the worst possible things you can think of people doing to each other, we've done to each other. And it's only in the very recent past that we have a civilization, a civility to us in the Western world that, we don't hurt each other in polite company. And I think that we do away with that at our own peril, at our own civilizational, existential peril. So, yeah, I don't really have a point. I just wanted to kind of wax poetic with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys paying attention to my channel. It means a lot to me. I hope that I can continue to bring good content to you guys. I got to go buy a thumb drive so that I can get the videos off of the PS5. I've been playing some PS5, and then I can upload gaming content. I got a full-time job, so I just can't be like streaming or doing anything like that. I don't even really have streaming set up either. I have this Mac, works great for uploading videos, but it's not really a gaming PC. So yeah, I love you guys. I appreciate your time, and feel very grateful for where I'm at in life. And I am aware of the capacity that I have, whether through ego or what have you, to turn sour, to turn bitter, to want more and be angry that I don't have it, etc. And I recognize that that does nothing but take away from my capacity to execute the best possible behavior that I can. And so it makes me think about the worldview that I need to foster such that I can be the best person that I can. So I wanted to kind of relay that to you guys. And I'm excited moving forward. I think it's going to be a very interesting time moving forward. I think we could have a new opportunity to grow and build, and we'll see what happens. So thank you guys for watching. Love you. Catch you later.